Imagine the mightiest emperor of the ancient world losing his head, literally, to a vengeful nomadic queen. It sounds like a myth or legend, but it actually happened. Over 2,500 years ago, one woman dared to defy the largest empire on earth. Her name was Tomyris, queen of a nomadic tribe, and she delivered one of history's bloodiest acts of revenge. How did a relatively unknown queen bring down Cyrus the Great, the conqueror of Babylon? And what savage promise did she fulfill after defeating him? Stay tuned, because this story will blow your mind and show that even the mightiest can fall. Welcome to an incredible tale from history, a tale of ambition, deception, and brutal revenge. In this video, we'll uncover how Queen Tomyris of the Massagetae stood up to the Persian Empire and changed the course of history. Why is this story important to you? Because it's not just about ancient times. It's a powerful reminder never to underestimate the underdog, and that determination can topple even the greatest of foes. By the end, you'll see how an empowered leader defended her people against all odds, a lesson that can inspire anyone facing a seemingly unbeatable challenge. Now, let's dive into the most savage revenge story in ancient history and discover how a fearless queen brought a proud emperor to his knees. To set the stage, picture the Persian Empire in the 6th century BCE. It stretched from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indus River, making it one of the mightiest empires in the world. Its founder was Cyrus the Great, a conqueror renowned for toppling kingdoms like Babylon. Cyrus's army was vast and battle-hardened, seemingly unstoppable on the battlefield. To the north of this empire, across the Araxes River, in what is now Central Asia, lived a smaller group of nomadic tribes known as the Massagetae. They didn't have a sprawling empire or massive armies, but what they did have was a formidable leader, Queen Tomyris. Tomyris had become queen after the death of her husband, and she ruled alongside her son, Spargapises. The Massagetae were a hardy horseback-riding people. Men and women alike were trained to ride and fight. In fact, women in Massagetae society could even lead warriors and fight in battle, a rarity in the ancient world. This was the defiant queen Cyrus was about to encounter. Cyrus set his sights on Tomyris's land as he expanded his empire's borders. At first, he tried a cunning approach. Instead of launching straight into war, Cyrus sent a marriage proposal to Queen Tomyris. Marry him, and their kingdoms would unite, or so he claimed. But Tomyris was no fool. She saw through Cyrus's ploy immediately, realizing that the Persian king only wanted her kingdom, not her hand in marriage. She flat out rejected his proposal, famously making it clear that it was her kingdom and not herself that he courted. In other words, nice try, Cyrus, but I know what you're up to. Cyrus wasn't used to taking no for an answer. He had conquered so many lands. How could a nomadic queen dare refuse him? Insulted and still determined to claim her territory, the Persian king decided on war. According to Herodotus, Cyrus even consulted one of his advisors, Croesus of Lydia, a former king he had defeated, who encouraged him to invade Tomyris's realm. Soon, Cyrus's army was on the march toward the Massagetae lands, and war was on the horizon. Tomyris, however, did not cower or hide. As Cyrus's forces neared the border, the queen sent a warning to the Persian camp. If Cyrus crossed into her land, she would give him a fight he'd regret. In fact, she advised Cyrus to stay content ruling his own vast empire and leave her people alone. This was her final warning to the invader. Turn back now or face the consequences. Would Cyrus really back down from a fight? Not likely. The stage was set for a showdown between an invincible emperor and a barbarian queen, and Cyrus, brimming with confidence, chose to engage. a decision that would soon prove disastrous. What Cyrus didn't realize was that he was about to ignite one of the fiercest battles of that era, and a chain of events that would lead to his own gruesome end. Cyrus made the first move, but it wasn't a head-on attack. The Persian king, known for his strategic genius, devised a clever trap to weaken the Massagetae. He advanced to the banks of the Araxes River, which separated his empire from Tomyris' territory, and then pulled a surprise move. Cyrus suddenly withdrew his main forces from the camp, leaving behind a tempting scene for the Massagetae to find. In the now abandoned Persian camp, Cyrus deliberately left rich food and, importantly, a huge stock of wine, a luxury the nomadic Massagetae were not accustomed to. It was a baited trap, and Cyrus was betting that Tomyris' people wouldn't be able to resist. Why wine? Well, the Massagetae, like many steppe nomads of that time, didn't normally drink wine at all. According to ancient accounts, their usual intoxicants were fermented mare's milk and even cannabis, but not wine. They likely had never experienced wine's potent effects on the uninitiated. Cyrus knew this. So, as Tomyris' son, Prince Spargapises, led a division of the Massagetae to pursue the retreating Persians, they came across the deserted camp filled with tantalizing provisions. The Persians had even set a lavish banquet, as if in celebration, then vanished. Spargapises and his men saw the untouched feast and the strange grape wine in abundance, and with the Persians apparently gone, they let their guard down. They feasted and drank in triumph, celebrating what they thought was a Persian retreat. This is exactly what Cyrus had hoped for. The Massagetae warriors became drunk and disoriented, utterly unprepared for what came next. Suddenly, Cyrus's army swooped back in. In a swift ambush, the Persians fell upon the intoxicated nomads. The result was devastating. Cyrus's forces slaughtered a large portion of the Massagetaean troops and captured many others who could barely fight back. Among the captives was Prince Spargapises himself, Tomyris' beloved son, who had led the ill-fated charge into the trap. When Spargapises sobered up and realized he was a prisoner, the reality was too much to bear. Different accounts vary on the details, but according to Herodotus, the prince was so ashamed of being captured that he begged Cyrus to be freed for a moment. And when Cyrus obliged, Spargapises took his own life rather than live in captivity. In one cruel stroke, Tomyris had lost her son and a large part of her army. Cyrus might have thought this trick brought him victory, but in truth, it only stoked the fires of one furious mother's wrath. Imagine the scene. Queen Tomyris receives the news that her son is dead, and her army ambushed by treachery. Her grief was only matched by her rage. Cyrus had not beaten her fairly in open battle. He had used wine as a poison to dull her warriors and ensnare her child, as Tomyris later roared at him. The Persian king had drawn first blood, but in doing so, he had made a fatal mistake. He had made it deeply personal. Tomyris sent an angry message straight to Cyrus, and it pulled no punches. She condemned his tactics as cowardly and called him out as bloodthirsty for using that wine trap. According to Herodotus, Tomyris cursed the wine as a drug that made you so mad, accusing Cyrus of victory, not in fair open fight, but through deceit. Then came her chilling vow, a promise that would go down in history. Tomyris demanded Cyrus return her son's body untouched. "Refuse," she warned, "and I swear by the sun, bloodthirsty as you are, I will give you your fill of blood." That vow of vengeance is one of the most iconic ultimatums ever delivered. Tomyris essentially told the greatest emperor on earth, "You like blood so much? If you don't give me back my son, I will quench your thirst for blood in the most literal way." This was personal now. A mother's love turned into righteous fury. Cyrus, in his arrogance, ignored the warning. The Persian king likely thought Tomyris was bluffing, or that his imperial army could handle anything this barbarian queen threw at him. But Cyrus was about to find out just how dangerous an enraged mother and warrior queen can be. Tomyris had nothing left to lose, and that made her the most dangerous foe Cyrus would ever face. True to her word, Queen Tomyris prepared to make Cyrus pay in blood. She rallied what remained of her forces, likely mustering warriors from every corner of her lands. News of the prince's death and Cyrus's treachery must have fueled the Massagetae with a burning desire for revenge. Tomyris, who had tried to avoid needless bloodshed by warning Cyrus earlier, was now absolutely resolute. There would be a decisive battle, and she intended to personally lead her army. The queen who had once asked Cyrus to just go home was now coming for him. Can you imagine the determination and anger driving her? Tomyris knew Cyrus commanded a formidable force, perhaps larger and better equipped than hers. The Persian army had conquered half the known world, while her Massagetae were fewer in number and relatively smaller in stature. But sometimes, passion and desperation can level the playing field. Tomyris had the advantage of fighting on her home turf and the moral high ground of avenging her son and fallen warriors. And perhaps most importantly, she had nothing left to lose. According to the ancient historian Herodotus, what came next was one of the fiercest battles ever fought between two non-Greek armies. Think of it as an ancient world showdown. Tens of thousands of soldiers clashing in the Central Asian steppe. The Massagetae met the Persians head-on, and this time there was no trickery, no surprise feasts, just a brutal fight to the finish. They fought on horseback and on foot, with bows, battle axes, lances, and swords. The air was filled with war cries, the clash of steel, and the thundering of hooves. Neither side would yield. Tomyris herself was in the fray, driving her warriors forward. Can you picture the ferocity of a mother avenging her child? Despite Cyrus's larger numbers and the Persians' reputation, the Massagetae warriors fought like lions. They were propelled by Tomyris's vow and their own grief and anger. Cyrus had expected an easy victory against this barbarian tribe, but he was now locked in the hardest fight of his career. In fact, Herodotus explicitly notes that this battle was exceptionally savage, with enormous casualties on both sides. Cyrus, the great king of kings, realized too late that he had seriously underestimated his opponent. In the chaos of combat, fate finally caught up with Cyrus the Great. The invincible emperor, who had never lost a war, met his end on that battlefield. Cyrus was killed in the fighting. Some say he was struck down by a Massagetae warrior. Others imagine he might have confronted Tomyris herself. We don't know the exact details of how Cyrus fell, but fall he did. The Persian army, seeing their king dead, crumbled in defeat. Against all odds, Queen Tomyris had won. She had done what no other ruler had managed. She defeated and killed Cyrus the Great in battle. It was a historic victory. But Tomyris wasn't done yet. She remembered her terrible promise to give Cyrus his fill of blood, and she intended to keep it. The battlefield was littered with the bodies of Persian elites and Massagetae warriors alike. But Tomyris had one target in mind amid the carnage: find Cyrus. She ordered her soldiers to search among the Persian dead for the body of King Cyrus. Eventually, they found him. The great conqueror's lifeless form, now just another corpse on foreign soil. What Tomyris did next is the stuff of legend, and certainly not for the squeamish. Queen Tomyris made sure Cyrus would never forget her vengeance. She took Cyrus's corpse and severed the head from his body. This wasn't mere brutality for its own sake. It was deeply symbolic. remember her vow about giving him a fill of blood? Tomyris now carried it out to the letter. She brought out a large skin bag or vessel and had it filled with human blood, possibly the blood of Persian soldiers who had fallen in battle. Then, in one of the most macabre scenes recorded in ancient history, Tomyris took Cyrus's severed head and plunged it into that bag of blood. As she did so, she reportedly declared to the dead king, "Drink your fill of blood," directly fulfilling the promise she had made to him earlier. In another account, she also proclaimed, "Thus I make good on my threat, and give you your fill of blood." It was a gruesome final act of poetic justice. Cyrus, who she called bloodthirsty, literally had his thirst quenched in blood by the very woman he had tried to conquer. This shocking image of Queen Tomyris and the head of Cyrus became legendary. It has been depicted by artists for centuries, from ancient chronicles to Renaissance paintings. The message in Tomyris's action was loud and clear. No one, not even the great Cyrus, should underestimate or violate a mother's fury or a people's resolve. Tomyris had not only defeated her enemy, she made him an eternal example of the consequences of pride and cruelty. With Cyrus dead and the Persian army decimated or in retreat, Tomyris had avenged her son and defended her homeland. Her revenge was complete. It's important to note that our knowledge of this dramatic story comes mainly from Herodotus, the Greek historian, who heard it from Persian and other sources. Some later historians debated details of Cyrus's death, but Herodotus insisted this version was the most credible. And true or not, the tale of Tomyris has resonated through history as the ultimate story of retribution. Queen Tomyris's astonishing victory over Cyrus the Great sent shockwaves through the ancient world. She had proven that even the mightiest of rulers can fall if they let greed and arrogance blind them. Her story lived on in art, literature, and legend for millennia, and Tomyris became a symbol of fierce justice, even appearing as a national heroine on coins in modern Central Asia. In the end, Queen Tomyris's story is about justice, courage, and the fierce love of a mother and a leader. It teaches us that no empire is invincible, and no setback is final if you have the will to fight on. We hope this epic tale inspired you and left you in awe of this ancient warrior queen's determination. If you found this story fascinating, please hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Did you know about Tomyris before, or is this tale new to you? What would you do in her shoes? We'd love to hear your perspective. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible history stories that show how the past can empower us today. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.